Okay, so virtual reality, virtual is actually virtual virus. Prototypes is a base model to work from. Earth probably had prototypes to it. Humans have prototypes, obviously the caveman. Dogs have prototypes. There's so many different ways of which you can invoke life into anything that can handle a stable environment. But the environment has to be stable. And so I was watching very briefly, I didn't watch the whole movie, but the BFG, which I did read the book, the BFG, and it was by Roald Dahl, and Roald, Roald, and then Dahl. I read a lot as a kid, of course, because my parents wanted me to read a lot. And so Roald Dahl had a lot of very grim types of stories that were like, ooh, that's a little dark. And so, well, the BFG and James and the Giant Peach were a bit more lighthearted, but like the Swan, where, it's taking a life form and cutting off its wings and then taping it to your arms. I mean, that's like some of the dark side of some of the authors out there. But all of these stories out there have come from something that happened in the past, and it came from an evolution that then had to be, I guess, reset. And I don't know why humans had to endure resets, why, we came from giants, okay? There's the whole Anunnaki and the whole antiquity and Egypt, and then at some point humans now came down to a diminutive size, but no different than the dinosaurs being extinct, and now are birds and little reptiles that we see in Florida that are taking over everything, right? Or they turn into like monitors, like some kind of large lizard, like the Komodo dragon, or let's say the boa constrictor, okay? So it seems that, yes, the animals were bioengineered, humans, yes, bioengineered. Why at a diminutive size? Because maybe it made sense. If you have so many giants on this earth, like so many that we're uncovering now that maybe giants did exist way back then, maybe Earth was like, or maybe those that looked after Earth were like, okay, we don't need to have so many giants on this earth. If we had 7 billion people, that we can break up the cells of the giant, turn them into people, and then figure out how we can compartmentalize and then create a very utopian balanced society that Earth can handle the symbiotic relationships with Earth's inhabitants, and then the resources Earth offers to the people and to biodiversity. And so I'm seeing the bigger picture, of course. I mean, my realization that the medical system is the negative integers on a positive negative timeline, and the viruses are the positive integers. They are the evolution. They can be spliced and diced, and the Human Genome Project, which I figured out, is really a warehouse of how you put different proteins together and do if-then equations like computer modeling to see what would be the outcome, okay? And so then you look at the population, you look at the diversity of the population, and we're all bioengineered in some way. And so the real truth of the matter is, I guess the moment of truth is when you're able to tap into immortality and definite life and see what stays as far as your body. Is your body going to evolve to the level of the environment based upon the programming? And so that's the interesting thing, is if everyone did jelly juice, would their specific situation, if they were stable, okay, and they didn't have any, see, this is the thing, because I had PMDD, I had all these thought processes and specific breeding and stuff, bred into me during the last 40 years. And so I noticed that I was evolving and changing, and I've been evolving to the level of my environment, to the level of the information of my environment, and rose above the two dualities. So if somebody who has something, different about them, whatever it is, Okay, and we don't know what normal is. We're going to find out if you do the J juice, not knowing what normal is, but what would be sustainable and what would be the actual purpose of your design. So the viral blueprint that was given to people could have been manipulated and channels could have been blocked. Hormones like channels could have been blocked to where then, yes, some people are more diminutive than others. And so what if we unblocked those hormones and we allowed the body to actually tap into the intelligence that the viral blueprint actually uploaded at the time of inception, and then over time as the person moves through different microbiomes exposed to different viral entities. Okay, and so that's why it's really important people do the Jilly Juice so they can see exactly what their original blueprint is and then evolve to the next level of the viral imprints that we are exposed to, whether it's COVID, whether it's another variant that's out there. And so, and that's like, so we're seeing that, yes, they're going to be, science is going to go and do more splicing and dicing. They're going to find DNA from prehistoric stuff. And if the environment can handle, if the entities from prehistory can handle the current environment, then yeah, we might see some interesting biodiversity. Will we see dinosaurs? That could potentially be true if they can handle this environment. We are headed into a more of a hotter climate. Whether they're actually making it hotter or it's part of the Earth cycles, I don't know. I mean, I've seen stuff on Facebook where they're showing a volcano and they're saying a meteor came down and hit a volcano and then made the volcano erupt. Well, someone else said it could have been a direct energy weapon that came down from the satellites from all the different countries that are in space programs and actually influenced that volcano to erupt. So, I think that if you can take like a small model, like Barbie's Playhouse, and you add in all the different elements and different components of an actual microbiome out there, and then you start manipulating the different, geographical locations in this small computer model, that, yeah, it's no different than if you have access to, a bird's eye view of Earth and you're able to influence the different environments with heat and with different chemical reactions, that, yeah, you could have a totally like virtual reality that would actually be a reality. It wouldn't have to be virtual like you see in a computer, like a holodeck, like you'd see like in Star Trek. And so here's the thing, the first I don't know, the first how would I say this? The first step to evolving, the first step to evolution is first gain access to most of your brain. The first step to evolution is feeding your brain with new information and then being able to regurgitate it. And what do I mean by regurgitate? Well, take the new information that you learned and learn how to say it in your own way. So you actually have some kind of relationship with the information. It's not just something that you're regurgitating in a zombie-like robotic form, but really take the new information and be able to align it with your way of communicating. And that means that you get access to a lot of your brain, you're taking on new information, you're evolving, and tap into that immortality. How do you know you're tapping into that? Because yes, you're seeing a reversal in all of your issues, but you're also able to articulate new information and have it be aligned and merged in with what you already know. So then you keep expounding on what you already know, just like in a microbiome that first started with a single-celled organism, and then you had other organisms then attach itself, and then you had parasites. So it's like when your first protein, a halophile in the ocean, was like a single-celled protein, like amino acids. Then so you have the first protein with a string of amino acids. Then you have the viruses and the parasites and the protozoa and the proteins and the fungus and bacteria, and so that is your complete community of a microbiome that then finds ways to commune together, and then the viruses give the intelligence, and then all of a sudden you have a very advanced form of an entity of which you can take on as well as you keep taking on new information from the environment, you're, you know, eating the bioengineered food so you can evolve. And then you're able to communicate the ability to take on the new information. So it's not just having one thought process, because you can take on information and not know how to regurgitate or conjugate or start it merging with your prototype. Because we all were prototypes prior to the J juice, yes, and prior to the COVID, we were all some kind of prototype. Now we're seeing how stable prototypes are based upon how people take care of their body and their ability to communicate the information. And then we're going to see who is going to rise to the top, who's going to evolve with the new information. It's not just the jelly juice, it's also with the viruses. Okay? Can you sit with being sick? Can you sit with coughing? Like the reason why I cough, my husband's like, why are you coughing? Because when there is residual excess mucus in my lungs, and I can tell when there's the halls and the channels of my mucous membrane is open because something triggered it to cough at a very deep level to get that out. And then when that entity, the excess entity, doesn't trigger that anymore, then I can feel actually the channel not as open. Like I can feel my own channels open based upon what the body is trying to expel. And so that's really getting to know your body, yes, but also allowing yourself to feel the evolution. And yes, it takes J juice, but it also takes you just, you know, getting off of J juice for a minute and allowing yourself to be exposed to a lot of evolution, and then allowing and sitting with it. And that's the thing which is very difficult is for me, even because I know I've warned people in my group, you know, be careful of large crowds, even though they're on the J juice, but I know what they're dealing with and I don't want them to suffer too much, but suffering is evolution. So it's that whole balance of how much, you know, you want people to evolve, but you don't want them to suffer so much. But you know the suffering is evolution and it's being supported correctly with the food supply and with the J juice, that you don't want to take so much J juice where you're not evolving. So you know, if there's a way that you do J juice like once a week and do your waterfalls once a week and then eat a bunch of food and go out there and commune with your environment, okay, and then feel the evolution, because I'm telling you, the coughing is what evolved me. Actually coughing and going through all of those symptoms, I'm telling you, as much as you guys don't want to deal with that, and that's what your predominant focus is not to have any symptoms, I'm telling you, the symptoms are what is evolution. And so that's the conundrum, and that's the quandary that I deal with. Is I know that people don't want to feel this stuff, and you know, and they don't have time to deal with symptoms, right? They want to go and work and do this and do that. But I'm telling you, it's the symptoms that evolves you. And then then you have a higher form of knowledge. Okay? And so can people go through the evolutionary stages without too many symptoms and do the J juice and eat the bioengineered food and still evolve and survive? Well, I mean, is that immortality? I don't know. Because here's the thing. You can stay stuck in your little bubble of a world where where you're bringing J juice everywhere you go, and it's the only thing that'll help you get through if you get exposed to something, right? But let's say let's say you are in like Vietnam and you don't have J juice, or not even Vietnam. Let's say you're in some other country there's no salt and there is no cabbage, but there's regular food, and even if there is cabbage, whatever. But let's say you're in a country where, salt isn't prevalent and you're quarantined in a hotel because you just tested positive for a variant that you were exposed to 2 or 14 days ago. Let's say you're on like a 2-month sabbatical somewhere. Do you have what it takes to get out the excess? Let's say there are new entities in the environment that your body was not prepared to deal with because it's a new viral entity that just came out of nowhere because somebody in that environment was exposed somewhere or had a different, viral makeup, and then you get exposed to it. Will you have what it takes to get out the excess? Will you have what it takes to evolve? And that's the thing with J juice is you get your body so strong and have on the training wheels to flex your intracellular muscles. And then you're going to have to test to see how strong your body is when you do get exposed to something. Because yes, you can always have energy to help expel things. But what happens if the salt isn't there? What happens if any electrical whatever isn't there? I mean, that's why people have defibrillators, right? Because that's what people rely on to go and get their heart back up going if they had a heart attack and they passed out. But can you be independent even of J juice, where you're not stuck on J juice? That, the only reason why I did a shot of J juice is when I was coughing, because I want to give more energy. But let's say, could I have survived without the J juice when I was coughing? Probably. Because my body would be building up muscles as I was coughing. And so evolution is being able to deal with the symptoms. And so that's probably why humanity does not want to deal with symptoms, because it does strengthen. Over time, it does strengthen your body, mind, and spirit, that you know you can handle any environment on this earth. Okay? And you're able to get out what needs to get out. And so then it's what makes us different than even the mummies of antiquity. Okay, why were they mummified? Why did they promote an afterlife? Yeah, there were people that were nefarious that wanted to go kill, so were all these mummies, were they destroyed by someone with nefarious intentions? Did they voluntarily commit suicide for whatever reason? Like, we don't really know how people died way back in antiquity. We just know that they're a mummy, and then our society has fed us all these stories of why people die, or why we should die. And we know why people die is because they have an unbalanced positive and negative in their adaptive and innate immune system. But why did the Egyptian pharaohs die? Why were they mummified back then? Well, we know why they were mummified, because they were supposed to be for the afterlife. But why did they die to begin with? Okay? And so we are in the next level evolution. And so I'm not afraid to feel pain. I'm not afraid to feel symptoms. Yes, the J juice brings things up to surface. Okay? But at some point, J juice does energize away the symptoms, so that way you don't feel anything. And maybe are you taking on the nutrients? Okay? I mean, can you poop without J juice? And even if you can poop without J juice, do you feel like you need the J juice? Are you getting bigger in your belly because you're not expelling? So do you know your own sphincter? Like, literally, do you know your own sphincter? Are you afraid to even touch your sphincter? Okay, so that's the thing, is that, humans have to really understand their body. They have to understand their mind and their spirit. They got to feel the pain. And these viruses are going to get way more aggressive. I'm serious, they're going to. I mean, right now we saw the first wave of it. Actually, in 2020, the first wave of it, that's why we had to wear masks and be social distance. And then the vaccines came out. Great. Vaccines, fine. They give you an intermediary, but they're trying to lessen the version of evolution, right? Because if they feel that you can handle the evolution, then they wouldn't need the vaccines. So the vaccines are a lesser version of the environment, but then are you getting the evolution that you deserve? Though, people assume that you can't handle the evolution, so that's why they want you to get a vaccine, because they can't assume that everyone can handle the aggressive environment. But at some point, you're going to have to deal with the aggressive environment. You're going to have to build up your diaphragm muscles. You're going to have to strengthen your sphincter muscles, not by always turning to J juice. And so that's the thing, is I think that's probably why I've evolved a lot, where I can articulate, because I'm not afraid to feel all this stuff. And I'm filling my mind with new information. And even though, yes, I'm not just doing my book and Julie juice. I'm not even doing Julie juice right now, but I'm not even just focused on my book. I mean, I have my dog, my husband, my house to deal with. But I do focus on learning how to articulate things in such a way where people get it and know that immortality and evolution, yes, they go hand in hand, but also dealing and feeling with the evolution. Because I'm telling you, I get why people want to do the J juice and not feel symptoms, because it would take them away from their currency game, making money, building social capital, building capital. But I'm telling you, the answer is in dealing with the symptoms and sitting with the symptoms. Or else, yeah, you'll be in a cured state. Because there are people like, I don't have time to lay down and deal with the symptoms. I gotta work, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Well, that's why you're in the situation you're to begin with. It's because you don't want to give time to your symptoms. You don't want to even have the symptoms. And so that's why I say, you guys, you got to stop using J juice as a cure. When you have symptoms, I get giving energy. You need to flex your muscles. It makes you feel better. But at some point down the road, when you actually have reversed most of the issues that you've seen, and even if you haven't reversed all the issues that you know about, try, taking a break of J juice, eating all the food supply, okay? Do waterfalls once a week, get the poop out, deal with your weight fluctuating, and strengthen your intracellular muscles. Because that's going to be the telltale sign that you can actually leave J juice at home and you can go travel anywhere without a crutch. That's the thing, is we're trying to get rid of the crutches. Yes, J juice is an amazing evolutionary thing, and it's a great crutch as far as training wheels, but eventually those training wheels must come off. And you're going to have to figure out what time is that, or else you're going to be so dependent upon J juice. And who's to say that, that a variant is going to come into the environment, it's going to be so strong that even J juice, is going to actually work against you, because it's going to energize the nutrients that you're going to need to rebuild to strengthen your ability to be able to evolve out of your system. So this is why you have to understand that dealing with your pain is so paramount, and sitting with it, and don't be so busy that you don't want to deal with your pain. Because I'm telling you, me taking the naps that I've allowed myself so much freedom, because I have the freedom. I've set up my life the way to where I can actually focus on my evolution. Okay? And I could help rationalize why you don't. But that's the thing, is people purposely set up their life to be so busy so they don't have to deal with themselves, and then they don't evolve. And then I'm wondering, well, where's the evolution in this person? Oh, that's right. They keep doing the J juice to such an extent that they don't want to feel pain. And that's what I realized, with John, when he's saying you couldn't even taste the J juice salt anymore. Well, that means that you need to now take a break. You need to allow evolution to take upon you, and allow the food supply to finally strengthen you. And then you got to feel the aches. And I felt yesterday, my arm was so sore yesterday. Like, my arm was so sore. And I'm not doing anything that different. Okay, but my arm was sore. Why is my arm sore? It almost feels like growing pains. Okay? And so, growth does come from pain. That's the bottom line. And so if you're trying to avoid pain, I say that, yeah, the vaccines are a great evolution. Yeah, but so is the virus. I'm not vaccinated. But I can't tell you whether or not you should be vaccinated. But if you're under pressure to be vaccinated, fine. But the virus is the evolution. And the virus is the plus. It is the plus. Okay? And then the medical system, the vaccines, all the different therapeutics, they're the negative. They're the ones that take away the energy, take away the evolution. That's what I figured out with the whole Trinity, is that the Trinity of evolution, Trinity of humanity, is the body, which is plus and minus, and then the virus is the plus, the medical system is, and the holistic system is the minus. And if you're taking part more in the medical holistic system than you are in the viruses, experiencing the virus, experiencing the evolution. But if you're more into lessening the energy and lessening the evolution, and then you're doing a lot of J juice so you don't feel anything, then you're no different than the medical holistic system using J juice as a cure. The key thing is to be exposed to, yeah, you can get the vaccine, but I'm telling you, be exposed, go into large crowds and feel the freaking evolution. But I don't want to feel that. It's going to take me away. Those on the J juice, you can freaking handle it. You've been doing J juice for a while. You're eating the food supply. You can handle an evolutionary sequence that's going to make you cough. Oh, but that's not good. You're not supposed to cough. Well, that's why you're weak. That's why people take cough suppressants, because they really don't have the energy to cough things out. Okay? And so now I understand why, because I'm a glutton for punishment. But then it's not that I'm a glutton for punishment. It's just that I'm like, let me test it out. I have no fear. The virus isn't going to kill me. The environment's not going to kill me. I have enough mass to my body. I've primed my body for the last 5 years. Until I get this book written, yes, I'm very tunneled right now. But even when my book is done, I will still have other things going on. But I will still, take part in whatever's out there. But I'm going to give you a really, really, some advice. You guys are on the J juice. Give yourself some, cut down your expenses so you can afford to evolve. Because the only way you know you're evolving, there's specific measurable results. You feel the pain, but the second specific measurable result is you're actually proving it through the way you talk, through the way you speak, through the new innovations that you have that you can share with the world. Okay? And so you can prove to the world that you're evolving, that you're not looping in the same things that you've been doing for the last 20 freaking years. What can you do to evolve yourself? Now, and that could be with your kids. And maybe you used to just do this thing with your kids, and now you're doing something more with your kids. Now you're trying things out. You're still working with the school system and with your environment, but you're able to rise above and advance your kids to a different level of thought. But they're still working with the platform that they were given to work with. No one's resisting the system out there. They're not only working with the system, but they're actually contributing more evolution to the system. And so that's the thing. It's, and so I don't know what that's going to look like for you guys, but specific measurable results are everything, because that's how you know something is working. So feeling pain and then evolutionary thought. Those are the two specific measurable results. Okay? And at some point from feeling pain, is there an evolutionary thought that's more than just your symptoms? And that could mean learning something different and then being able to articulate, not going what you already know, because it's easy to go to what you already know. You know that you know French, Spanish, English, whatever. So when someone spits off French, Spanish, English, and whatever, okay, we know that you know that. Now go and go find something you don't know about. And go test your knowledge and test, how fast you can learn those concepts. Test yourself. Okay, and then, yeah, and of course, there's always people, wanting to do inventions because it makes their transactions easier, and that's fine. I get it. There's always going to be innovation in technology. That's great if you do invent something in technology, but you already know that. So let's say there's something else that you're not in technology, you're not in biotechnology, you're not in any kind of computer technology or application technology, but let's say there's something else out there. Let's say, who knows what it is. For me, it's like math and formulas were my hard things. So that's what I then focused on to figure out how to explain, some of my concepts. And so that's foreign to me. So that's proving that I know I can actually go and learn something very different when I've been told that really math is not my strong suit, chemistry is not my strong suit. Your only strong suit is English and comprehension or something, or whatever. And so if math and chemistry are your strong suit, then maybe it's time to look at the English language and look at words and look at putting words together and look at how you could write something very different than what you already know in your profession. Okay? And so that's the thing, is finding the areas that you don't know and learn them, and then be able to prove to people that you can actually take on this new information that was so foreign to you, and now it's not anymore. You've actually brought an evolution to your platform. That's what I mean by evolving thought and innovation. Is not always reverting back to what you know, but finding the things that you don't know, and then go and learning them, and then prove to the world that you actually learned this and understand it from a very conceptual point of view, and then articulate it. Okay? And so that's what it takes, and that comes from pain. I'm telling you. It comes from pain, and it comes from dealing with new entities in the environment, and knowing that you can actually deal with it. And people are like, well, I thought you're supposed to be so healthy, Jillian. That's the whole thing with the J juice. This is healthy. This is evolution. When I cough, it's like a virus or a bacteria trying to evolve its surroundings so it can actually bring everything up to the level of evolution. So when there's a new entity in like a microbiome that's trying to evolve into a very advanced life form, that coughing or the spewing out of data from these organisms is then evolving everyone around you. But then what happens with humans is they're afraid to evolve. So they're like, oh, stop, get away from me. You're communicable. But that's knowing that, can you handle it? So if you're on the J juice and the food supply, you can handle it all. And so, but that, that's, you'll figure it out. So that's probably why, I kept urging some of you to keep doing more J juice, because I was not seeing too much evolution. I mean, I know you guys are trying your best and you have a lot of things going on, but maybe it's time to now finally lay off a little bit of the J juice. Maybe do it once a week or once a month, and do a lot of it, and then eat the food supply and expose yourself to viruses and feel the fucking pain. Like, seriously, feel the pain. And I don't know. I mean, everyone's going to figure that out. But I know in my world, this is what I've been doing. I take naps when I need to. I don't force myself to stay awake if I am very tired. And I don't spread myself too thin. Because I'm going to tell you, everything else will be there, no matter what. When you're done evolving, when you finally get to certain levels, and you got to figure out what that is. I don't know how you're going to characterize it or how you're going to put out your own business plan. But the world will still be there. If anything, the world's going to be supernovaing, waiting for someone to take their money. Because, when people are glitching, they're looking for the nearest distraction. They're looking for the nearest remedy. They're looking for the nearest thing to get their mind off of evolution, because they don't want to feel it. And believe me, when you're finally at a certain point where you can be so strategic, you'll be right there, Johnny on the spot. And you won't cannibalize people, but you'll definitely give them what they're looking for and the choice. So anyways, I'm going to go and do my stuff. It's Saturday. I got a lot of stuff to write, but it's getting easier, smoother. I'm reconfiguring all of my chapters. I've actually taken out sections of my book. I've taken out things that are like, this is not relevant. This is very, negative. And, and my friend that's helping me edit it, she's reading stuff over again, but it's coming from a different perspective. Okay, and so if your perspective hasn't changed really, then you got to question whether or not Jilly Juice is evolving you, or you're just kind of playing with the evolution, but not really seeing it for what it is. So remember, specific measurable results will tell you whether or not what you're doing is working for you and if it's going to evolve you, because this environment is going to get so much more aggressive. And you have to build up your intracellular muscles to be able to handle it. Because, yeah, what if? A lot of things. And let's say you don't have access to J juice. Could you handle the environment? All right, bye.